Hello, buddy. Lifegripper here. I'm back for a bit more on Tinkered Tuesday. Still with Lycanites equipment combos. Yeah, I know, I was hiding my face with a custom sign. Thank you, Tinker's Construct, for battle signs, because it's getting around that time of year, so I had to do something like that. But speaking of around that time of year, it's time for a particularly spooky Lycanites combo. What I have in my other hand over here is Lifegripper. It's a combination that's particularly spooky, and it has some serious properties. You may notice the wiggly fingers on the model, yeah, as it spins around, etc. Although I gotta admit, my favorite so far for displaying Lycanites equipment is probably having a display stand from Evilcraft on a wall. Because it seems to display more of it, and it doesn't like really cover anything in any bad way so far. It just seems to be like the perfect angle. I mean, and it shows the whole length of it if you've got it going down pretty far. But yeah, as usual, I'll be trying to explain how to get the parts, what's up with this cool piece of equipment, and show what you can do with it. Now, as before, remember that this is a Lycanites type of equipment, which means you'll be needing to, other than possibly using substitute parts that are crafted, in this case, none of those will be involved. All the cool parts are the ones that you get from mobs, and I'll be having to mention how to find each one. So that's something that is particular, that you'll be hunting stuff down, Monster Hunter style, and making equipment out of it. So, yeah. Now, this particular piece of equipment is very special. So everything that it's got, it comes into the concept of getting a hold of your target's life. Not to mention the fact that it also gives you the ability to shovel pretty well, actually. Now, what you'll be needing is several things that are actually found considerably easier than some other parts for various reasons. One thing you're going to be needing is your base part, which will be a Spectre Tendril. Now, this one has the... because this will be your base part, so yeah. Now, it adds the effect of decay, which partially cripples your enemy's life. Basically, they'll be able to have less of a maximum health they can heal up to during the time that the decay status is active. It also adds one head slot, but does not add a pommel slot. So this is the first piece of equipment I'm showing off that doesn't use a pommel. Now, it does have a small chance of summoning a Spectre. And Spectre is, of course, what you're going to be hunting to find it. Now, Spectres tend to show up pretty heavily in the end, but they can also show up in other areas that are exposed to the void, such as sometimes you will find them in the Ether dimension if you have that installed. So, special note that Sky-type dimensions will possibly have Spectres show up, because they show up in association with the void and they'll fly out of it. Their special ability is kind of to suck you into them, so you're probably going to need to fight them at range to get these. But other than that, it should be fairly easy to hunt them down. I do suggest having looting or some sort of luck on your weapon to actually get a better harvest of any kind of part, because that does apply. You can get parts easier if you've got more luck on your weapon. So if you're trying to get one of these cooler weapons, anything with looting on it ought to be nice to help you out. So happy hunting on that one. Now, the next part that we're going to be using is a Darkling Skull. This is actually found pretty much in the same area as Gru Claw. So these two parts, you're going to be hunting in pretty much the same area, actually. So you'll run into them again decently often. And the thing about it is Darklings and Grus both show up in very dark areas, usually deep underground. So whenever you're doing like mining and caving, you will be finding both of the other parts pretty effectively, actually. And they both have specific functions with this weapon. The Darkling Skull acts as a headpiece, and it adds a blade slot. And that's going to be kind of important, because remember that each slot added after the base part in the head determines pretty much a lot of other attributes pretty heavily in terms of what kind of weapon tool it's going to be. In this case, you're trying to add a blade part, because you're going to need that to get the Gru Claw. Because the thing is, each part that goes past those is very specific. Well, actually, all the parts have their own specific type. Like, no Lycanites part counts as multiple types apart. It all has its own exact type. So they're very categorized that way. So you just kind of know that you have to find exactly what you need to find if you're really going to make one of these combos. Now, as I was saying, the Darkling Skull will add Life Leech type ability, so you can actually absorb some of your enemy's health as you're attacking them. Although that ability has been kind of nerfed in the recent versions, so it's not going to be quite as much, but if you keep up your attack speed just at the right rhythm, you should be able to gain back a decent amount of health. And hence again why this is called Lifegripper, is this combo has several things associated with that. And additionally, it has a chance to summon Darkling. So you might actually be summoning a Darkling to assist you on occasion. Now, the final part is the Gru Claw. It is the thing that counts as a blade. And it's interesting that it counts as a blade, but it doesn't harvest as one. As you might see here, it actually harvests as if it were a shovel, and it has a special shape area. So it can help you to do mass shoveling very quickly. Although that's kind of a secondary function. I mean, again, these are weapon tools, and they have no durability, so you can just use them for whatever their tool function is for quite some time and just be happy with that. But it's always good to use them as a weapon, because, again, they're supposed to be multi-purpose as weapon and tool, so go for it. Now, this is interesting for more than one reason. It does summon Grus on occasion, and it also adds blindness to your target while making you possibly invisible for a while. So the enemy will have no idea where you are. And that's another reason why it's Lifegripper, is it has your enemy in the grip of terror as you're tearing down their life energy, which is perfect for Halloween. So, yeah. Now, let's begin the assembly process. As a reminder, you'll need the equipment forge, specifically the master one if you're going level 3, like I always try to demonstrate these at. For the base one, you'll need a wooden axe and a crafting table. Then you add a block of diamond for that for the greater one, and a block of diamond to that to get the master forge. So this block of iron, block of diamond, you're here, so you're good. Now to go on, let's assemble a new Lifegripper. So yes, remember they will kind of light up along the way to help guide you. Now, there's no sound effect like in Tinkers to show whenever you've properly made a new weapon, but on the other hand, there is with the vanilla anvil, so you will still be hearing this delightful sound. Okay, now let's start showing off what this thing can do. And it's a good thing that I have something kind of like a, I have something kind of like a damage indicators here. Now, I have kind of turned off mob spawning, so I'll have to, of course, force a few things in to demonstrate this best. Now, let me think. What would be the best thing to show off here? I had been doing this previously with a lot of Lycanites Mobs. But do I? Well, there's a few good options. Let's see here. I'd like something kind of tanky in its health. Nope, not. I've dealt with the demons a few times, so I don't think I really need to be showing them off that way. But see, did we have dragons up here? Where were the dragons? I'm looking for the dragons. Because I'd like to do this on a cockatrice. There we go, there's the dragons. I can see a cockatrice has a pretty good amount of health, so it should help demonstrate some of the abilities. And it's a fairly large mob, so I'd like to do this in the open. So, yeah. Oh. Before I turned off mob spawning, a lot of slimes died over here. You can tell because Evilcraft. So, yeah. Hi, big chicken. You're gonna be having a bad day. How did you get over there? I didn't think this had a teleportation ability. Do you? Okay, now I'm chasing around this giant chicken. Honk. Yeah, it also has a decent amount of attack speed as well as fair damage. I think the cockatrice is teleporting every time I hit it. I don't remember if that's intentional because I haven't fought one in survival yet. So, yeah, I think the cockatrice has vacated the premises. It's going, no, no, no. So maybe I should have went with the behemoth after all, because I know for sure they don't do that. So let's go with a behemoth just because I know that it won't do that action. Now some things might be immune to decay. Oh yeah, it also pulls towards you a bit. Did I miss that? I might have missed that on the description. Because a Spectre will do that action, so it might be that it's yanking it. But I didn't see that in the effects list. So, did I miss something? I mean, it's kind of cool that you're using it to yank them toward you to a degree, but that could be very dangerous for a lot of things that deal contact damage. So let me look at my part here for a moment. Something's a little suspicious about that. Nope, it doesn't mention the pulling towards you part. I mean, that's kind of knock towards rather than knock back. But it does entrap them, so that's actually kind of a bonus trait that I wasn't expecting. And again, note that it has a decent attack speed at 1.8, and it has 9 attack damage. So that is definitely better than a diamond sword. By, like, both factors. Let me just fast drop. Okay, because I was also going to demonstrate the extremely rapid shoveling. And, of course, the best way to do that is while I'm actually in survival, so, yeah. So let's shovel here. Yeah, that is big shoveling. I mean, it just whacks the sand very hard. So, very big area, very impressive. You can just slash through sand like crazy. I mean, if it wasn't just for the speed on an individual block, just look at the fact that it's an entire area and just demolishes it. Like, you want this cactus? Easy cactus. So, I mean, it's not even meant to chop. It's just meant to dig. But, of course, anything that's supporting is suddenly gone because you've just whacked all the sand. So, this thing is an excellent digging tool. Just totally excellent digging tool. And again, it just has so many other properties. Now, I didn't get to summon anything, but there's still a possibility that I could have. But every time you hit, there's a chance that that will occur. And might I add, there's something I kinda was investigating a bit in my... Okay, fingers please. And in my time in between, and that was trying to figure out what was the maximum number of things you could summon with one piece of equipment. Well, it's not exactly intentional it worked out to being 3, at least not as far as I know. But so far, that's as many as I can seem to put together. Is 3 summons on one item. Now, that's mainly just because I haven't got it where I found something that works absolutely flawlessly for a combo of getting all that together. But that might be a little off. Partially because I gotta remember that the Darkling Skull counts as a blade piece, but there's just not as many parts that get absolutely everything perfectly. Like, for example, a Sylph wing adds a pommel, but it doesn't add the ability to summon a Sylph. So that you can kind of count that one out. And that's also true for some of the others that have a pommel slot, is they usually don't actually have the ability to summon at the same time. And that makes things a little tricky for me to try to figure out a way to get, like, every slot having a summon. That would be nice, but it just doesn't seem to appear to be that way. So, if you're trying to go for maximum summoning power, you're kind of a little stuck with 3 as your max. So, just saying, that just seems to be how it's worked out for now. Again, that might not be fully intentional, and he may come up with parts later that allow you to get them all out. But for now, that seems to be pretty much where we're set at. So Lifegripper is maxed out on summons. I could have summoned a Gru, I could have summoned a Spectre, and I could have summoned a Darkling. But at the same time, it's just that seems to be as high as I can go right now. So I will pull off, also ending off with something extra special. It's just kind of a funny note, but whenever I was putting up that little wall of display for the ones I've done in the past as reminders, I found out an interesting little quirk with Evilcraft and how it resonates with this mod. Basically, if I use the pick block key to pick the display stand, and I have something in it, check this out, just for the fun, it also takes the NBT without having to use the normal shortcut. So you wind up having it perfectly displaying whatever it was that you just pick block copied. So yeah, that's just a hilarious side note. One more thing, just for saying, there's been a few that was wondering why the parts were wiggling, and despite not being alive, well, that's not exactly true, because according to the lore of Lycanite, they are still a bit alive. The life energy of some of these creatures is so strong that their body parts can technically outsurvive the creature themselves. So perhaps it would be best when making these equipment to make out a bit like Victor Frankenstein and go, "It's alive!" And with that, I could finally end off. But in case you're wondering why I also came with custom shield this time, there's a reason. I'm just kind of thinking ahead for custom armor and shields that Lycanite will be eventually making parts for and stuff, but he's not quite to that part yet, so I'm just kind of psyching up for it. For now, this is a Glitch Reaper. I'll be logging off. Hope to hear from y'all later, and bye for now, everybody.